My earliest memory of a clown from my cousin Jake's 10th birthday party. I was only 5, but I distinctly remember the commotion surrounding the clown. I remember my parents preparing me before I left the house on the drive there. "There's going to be a clown at Jake's party," my dad said. "Just be nice. All you have to do is be nice," my mom added. I don't understand why they were so worried, why my mom kept wiping her hands on her dress the entire drive to Jake's house, and why my dad kept taking deep breaths. Weren't clowns supposed to be at parties? When we got to Jake's house, there was something going on. The kids was running around in the backyard and jumping in the bouncing castle, but the adults were standing around in silence, their eyes darting back and forth across the yard, while some of my aunts and uncles walked in and out of the house periodically. It was like they were all waiting for something to happen. As I jumped in the bouncing castle, along with the rest of my cousins, I noticed a movement in the bushes near the gate that led into the backyard. I continued to bounce, trying to get higher each time in order to get a better look at whatever was there. Finally, I saw the clown appear from behind the bushes and watched as he unlatched the gate. I stopped bouncing and tried to maintain my balance as I watched the clown step into the yard and close the gate behind him. I pushed my fingers through the mesh in the bouncy castle, and I pressed my face against it, staring at the clown as he scanned the backyard until his eyes landed on me. He stared at me for a few seconds, and I stared back, not really knowing what to do. Nobody else seemed to have noticed him, and my cousins continued bouncing around me. He was short, and he wore a curly rainbow-colored wing. His face was white, and it seemed like his skin was naturally that pale. It didn't look like paint at all. His lips were normal size, but bright red, and he had a giant round red nose. His eyes were so dark that I couldn't distinguish the pupils from the irises. He had 2 black lines that started above his black eyebrows and ran down his eyelids to the top of his cheeks, which appeared to be inflated with something. They were round and protruding with a pink blush on them. His skin was so smooth and like porcelain. He wore yellow polka dot pants that were held up by red suspenders, and a white shirt with a giant red buttons down the front and red ruffles around the neck, chest, and sleeves. He wore shiny red clown shoes and carried a gift bag in one hand. I didn't know how long I stood there watching him before suddenly I was being pulled out of the bouncing house by my mom. She dragged me to a table and sat me down in a chair in between herself and my dad and continued to watch the clown as he approached my cousin Lisa and pulled out a pink balloon from a pocket in his pants. He blew out the balloon and then twisted it into a dog. Handing it to her, she took the balloon dog from the clown and ran to her mom. My Aunt Chelsea, who grabbed Lisa roughly and dragged her away from the clown. There was an impalpable amount of tension from the remainder of Jake's birthday party. Our parents wouldn't let us stray too far away, and the clown stayed the entire time, wandering around the yard and handing out balloon animals and honking his nose for the children. When it came time to open the presents, we watched as Jake unwrapped countless video games and action figures, along with a few clothing items. Once he finished opening the last gift from a family member, the clown walked up to Jake and handed him a gift bag he had been carrying around for the entire party. I watched as Jake's mom tried to stop the clown from handing Jake the gift, while my uncle held her back. We all watched as Jake thanked the clown and opened the gift bag, taking out handfuls of tissue paper until he reached in and pulled out the gift. "It's a book," Jake said. I saw Mom sigh in relief, and Jake turned the book over in his hand, looking at it. It was a small hand-covered book with a glossy dust jacket that had a drawing of a beach on it. Jake thanked the clown, and it walked away from him through the gate and away from the house. Once he was gone, Jake's dad snatched the book from him, and I asked about it later, but he told me his parents had thrown it out. I saw the clown a few times after that at every cousin's 10th birthday party. He would show up in the same outfit every time and give them a hardcover picture book that their parents would get rid of. When I was 10, the same thing happened. Although I begged my parents to let me see the book, they declined. The night of my birthday party, I snuck out of my room and I saw my dad go up into the attic with my book. I tried to find it a few times after that, but he had hidden it well, and it was nowhere to be seen. I once asked my parents why any of us even had birthday parties if they were so afraid of the clown, but they told me that the clown would show up anyway. He always knew. I didn't see the clown for a couple of years. All of my cousins had passed the age of 10, and none of them were old enough to have their own children yet. When I turned 20, my parents died in a car accident, and I inherited their house. By that time, I had forgotten about the clown and the book, and didn't care to read it or figure out why they had taken it away. And then, about 12 years later, my daughter Wendy had her 10th birthday party. My wife knew about the clown, and we had already seen it appear once before Jake's twins' birthday party. We had prepared Wendy and had given her the same warning my parents had given to me. Be nice to the clown. About 30 minutes into the party, the clown jumped over the backyard fence and wandered over to the table where Wendy and her cousins were getting makeovers. I stopped myself from running over to stop him. He looked exactly as I remembered him. Not a single thing had changed, not even his outfit. I watched as he caught my niece Alice's eye and had pulled out a blue balloon from his pocket. He blew the balloon up and then pulled out another blue one, and then used them both to form a hat, which she gently placed on his hands. I watched as she thanked him, and he clapped his hands together, and then continued to walk around the backyard. Nobody ever tried to stop him because we had already been warned not to be. We were never specifically told what would happen if we tried, but we knew it was bad, and none of us wanted to find out what it would be. When it was that time to open presents, I continued to eye the gift bag in the clown's hand. Once Wendy was done with opening the gifts given to her family members, the clown approached her and handed her a bag. She took it gently and slowly opened it, digging around the tissue paper until she pulled out a book. "Thank you," she said, smiling at the clown. He took a bow and then walked away, jumping back over the fence. I let out a sigh of relief. Once he was gone, I approached Wendy, taking the book from her. She didn't seem to mind that it was being taken. She seemed glad. I decided to hide it in the attic, just like my parents had done with mine. But as I stared at it in my hands, curiosity began to set in. It was the same as the other books. I had seen the hardcover with the glossy dust jacket, and that contained a drawing on the front, but no title. This one had a drawing of a girl that resembled Wendy, standing in front of a birthday cake and about to blow out the candles. She had the same curly brown hair and green eyes as Wendy. I opened the book and noticed an inscription inside of the cover that said, "Happy 10th, Wendy!" The first page was blank, but the next page was where the story started. There was a drawing of the girl on the cover wearing a party hat and holding a piles of gifts. Under that, I read, "Today is Wendy's 10th. How happy is she? She got every gift she wants, even things she didn't need." I turned the page as I continued to read the story that depicted various drawings of the girl that resembled my daughter as she did various birthday party activities. Wendy laughs along with her friends, and all her guests filled with glee. Wendy tries to sneak a peek at every gift that she receives. There were drawings of Wendy with family and friends. Everyone smiling and hugging Wendy. And then, from beyond the backyard fence, comes the best guest of all of them. A funny clown here to have a ball. On that page was a drawing of a clown as it jumped over the fence grinning. This clown loves the party, and it loves 10th birthdays too. He never misses a chance to show up where he's due. The next drawing of the clown in the center of the page, surrounded by black. But this birthday, it's a bit different. Something big is going to happen. The clown is so excited. This doesn't happen often. I turned the page to see a drawing of a clown running around the party chasing the guests who appeared to be frightened. They'd been drawn with their mouths open wide as they ran away from the clown. The clown runs around the yard and pulls something from his pocket. Not a balloon, not a magic, not even a handkerchief. But something big and sharp. Big, sharp, and shiny. The next page had a drawing of gleaming butcher knife dripping with blood. A lot of guests must die, but don't worry, Wendy. We'll be fine. The next 4 pages contain various drawings of a clown slaughtering people at the birthday party. Some of their necks sliced open and some were stabbed. And some lost body parts. The clown has had his fun. His job here has been done. Happy 10th birthday, Wendy. He will see you at the next one. The last drawing was the clown jumping over the fence, leaving a pile of dead bodies behind him. I shut the book. As chills ran down my spine. I realized why our parents never showed us the book, especially if they were all this creepy. And I wondered why the clown would even give us these books. I decided to do as my parents had done and get rid of the book at the end of the party. As I tossed the book on the top of the fridge, I heard the first scream. I ran to the door and threw it open, just in time to see everyone running away from the clown. He was back. He stood right by the fence with a butcher knife in his hand, on the ground. Next to him was my cousin Papa's child, Trevor's face down in the grass. I scanned the backyard looking for Wendy, but she was nowhere to be seen. All the guests ran across the yard, trying to get far away from the clown as possible. I watched as Jake tossed his children over the fence and into the neighbor's yard, followed by his husband and then himself. I looked for my wife and I spotted her running towards me into the house. Where's Wendy? I asked her, grabbing her arms. She jumped the fence a while ago. She's fine. We need to hide. She dragged me inside with her as the screams continued. A few more family members made it inside, and we hid in the kitchen and the living room. After a while, the screams died out. I slowly got up, opening the door and peering out into the backyard. He's gone, I said. I threw open the door and walked outside. There were a total of 10 dead people, and a few minutes after, the cops had arrived. So did Jake and his family and Wendy. I ran to her as I saw her coming up the driveway, picking up her into my arms. I'm so glad you're okay, I said. I kept her by my side for the rest of the night as we answered questions. I didn't tell the police I knew the clown, so they would never believe my story about the curse. Instead, we all told them that we had no idea who the clown was, and that we hadn't hired anyone. Hours later, everyone was finally gone. Winnie had gone to bed, and I went upstairs to help my wife clean up some of the mess. Once we were done, I grabbed the book on top of the fridge and handed it to her. "What's this?" she asked. "It's what he gave Rose," I said, as she opened it and read it. I waited for her to finish the book. When she was done, she tossed it onto the counter. "What the fuck?" she hissed. "Did he plan all that? Is this supposed to be some kind of stupid joke?" I shrugged. "Did this happen to everyone else?" she asked. "I don't know. Our parents never let us see the book," I replied. "This is so fucked up, David." We stood there in silence as Rose grabbed the book again, giving it a disgusted look. "I'm going to look for something," I said it suddenly. I made my way to the attic entrance and the hall and pulled down the ladder. I slowly made my way up, each step creaking as I stood on it. When I reached the top, I flipped the switch, and the lights turned on, illuminating the attic enough for me to see. I dug through countless boxes and moved old decor and furniture around until I found it, the book that I had been given for my 10th birthday. It had been hidden under the cushions of an old chair. I pulled it out and looked at the drawing of a house with a single light on it in one of the windows. I opened the book and found a similar engraving on the inside that read, "Happy to David." I turned the pages and began to read the story, ignoring the pictures. "Today is David's 10th birthday. What a good one it will be. David eats pizza. His favorite topping is cheese. He has a water balloon fight with his cousin Eric, and they take cover in the trees. Everything is fun, and soon it will be great. Here comes the clown. He never, ever is late. David's birthday was a blast, and his gifts were all fun. But don't be sad. It's over. The fun has just begun." Years go by, and the clown sees Dave again. It's now his daughter's 10th birthday, and today the fun will end. A lot of guests had fun, and for others, this day was their last. But David's family is alive. Thank the clown for that. And now it's time for bed. Time to get sleep. Don't forget to check on Wendy. She hasn't made a peep. The final drawing in the book showed an empty bed and a dark bedroom with a window that was wide open. I stared at it for a second. Before it hit me, I tossed the book aside, and as I got a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, something was wrong. "Wendy!" I shouted. "What's going on?" Rose called. I didn't reply as I hurried down the ladder and ran down the hall to Wendy's bedroom. Throwing the door open, I flicked the light on and looked around the room, but I was too late. She was gone. Her bed was empty, and her window was open.